at what has arrived. I must admit, I don't know if they've cleaned it, but it looks a lot sharper than it did. They must have cleaned it. And I haven't read the instructions yet, but what I assume is you have 4 wires. One of them's for the calibration, which is blue. And then you have 2 different options to go to your coil. You have the green one, the ECU, which will be for me. So hopefully I just need to plug that bad boy in. Green wire onto there, ignition, high beam, and obviously the background light, but we won't put that in because I nearly burnt the car down when I did that. And we should have a tachometer, and also the really fancy and rather quite expensive Tony Thompson front dampers. I probably should have filmed this, but I fitted the springs, and my method is really quite easy. I use just some 1-inch ratchet straps. The downside is you do leave little witness marks on the spring, but yeah, I had them and I didn't have to pay for any other kit. So I've kind of wound them roughly halfway, and yeah, we'll get these fitted along with the rears maybe next week, because my daily driver's in for an MOT, so I don't want the Lotus off the road in case I need to get anywhere. But yeah, we'll get this fitted. Cannot wait. Well, good afternoon, Elan fans. It's another cracking day. Sorry, I forgot to film. I've been doing a bit of fault finding as to why my ignition light wasn't lighting up. And there is a join just here, which had come unjoined. In the process of this, I found a great big sodding connection here, and it's just convinced me that this winter I will relume the car, because, I mean, even before I started adding this in, the loom had been hacked about quite a bit, so I am still going to get it checked, but yeah, it needs replacing. So I'm going to start again from scratch, take proper advice on how to wire these relays in so it's neat. So although I think I've done it properly, there's an awful lot of wires there that I'd like to get rid of. But anyway, the good news is we have a tachometer, and all of the lights that are going to go into it are working, apart from the illumination. So we're going to get that fitted. But first of all, I'm going to wrap this up. So I'm going to use my favourite Tezza tape. Not the best job in the world, but just to tidy that clump up there, I'm going to leave this open because it's quite useful for fault finding. And as you'll see, my very neatly wired brown wire is shooting off in there, and I know that needs a grommet. I'm a bad boy, but I will do it, and I will do these ones as well, and those ones. In fact, fuck it, I'll do those now. Right, we'll have to see how well they get on. I have sort of plugged it, but actually the fiberglass is thicker than the grommet will allow, so that's a bodge. But that one's in, so we have a little bit of sealing going on. So right, tachometer. So I'm hoping I can just extend this up to the tack, and then wire what was into the tack, and it should just work. So I'm going to be bold and just assume that's what I need to do. It's in. Now, I haven't tested this, so let's see if it works. That would be a no. Fuck. Now then, this is one of my favourite bits about working on cars, is that I found the solution. There was a wiring issue, it's now corrected. So I've gone to bolt it all back in. I can only find one bracket. I mean, I literally haven't moved from this seat. And, you know, usually these fall on the floor here, and you're like, yes, that's fine. I can see them, I can find them. I have both of the knurled kind of finger nuts, which are the things you thought would go missing. this has just disappeared. Don't know what to say. I've had my head up underneath, looking for it. I bet you can see it on there. Ah! Ha 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 ha! You little fucker. You little fucker. Gotcha. Okay, well I can't remember if this is second, third or fourth time lucky, but ignition lights on. Don't have high beam. Oh, well, let's see if the tack works. No. Of course it doesn't work. Fucking hell. Do my high beams work now the engine's started? No, of course not. Right, let's give it another go. I saw that move. Fucking hell, what's wrong with it now? I saw that move, it definitely moved. Alright, so lots and lots of pissing around later. We have a tacho that still doesn't work. It seems to come to life when you first start it and then immediately dies. So I just don't know. I don't know. If anyone has any bright ideas, that'd be great. If not tomorrow, I suppose I'm gonna have to phone up Spider and Motorsport Electronics and see what they say. But I mean, I've gone through everything and it's all earth, it's all powered. I mean, I've just got the earth, you know, clamped in for now so I can remove it easily, but it's all connected. I'm stumped. Well, the tack never worked. So I phoned Spider. They didn't seem to have an idea, so they said, look, send it back and they'll test it. So back it goes. I'm tempted just to buy a new one, but they're very limited. There's limited availability of 100mm tachos. So anyway, rather than go in a mood and sit on watching the telly all night, I thought I'd fit these, my new Tony Thompson front shocks, dampers, fuck knows. I've also got the rears, but they're a little bit more involved, whereas I reckon I can, you know, this is just the top, there's a trunnion that goes through there in the roll bar. I shouldn't be able to get this wrong. I am working with very, very limited space, but I reckon it's doable. Well, that was 10 minutes to get that out. Here's a new sexy Tony Thompson one. Sorry there guys, the phone went flat, but all in, all done. Nice and easy. I just hope that the back is somewhere near as easy. So I'm going to drop it down now and just see how low or how high it actually is. I've kind of just set it just a little bit more towards the bottom than the top, but pretty much in the middle. So join me once I've got a bit more charge and it's back on its arse. Rear suspension. So first step is to remove the rear brake calipers. I'm pretty confident about doing this job today. The only potential flying annoyance is going to be the top nut. Here is me trying to remember what the best ways of getting all of this off. You see, I've just thought about taking the flange out, but actually I may be better off just taking the drive shaft off and then bolting it here and then just moving the whole thing. It's been over a year since I've had these off in this fashion anyway. Right, that didn't take too long at all. I've still got these to remove to release the drive shaft, but I'm just leaving those in there loosely for now. Wishbone's disconnected. Strut's just held in at the top. It's held in by those two nuts, which you can't get to because the low to cone setup is different to anything you've ever experienced on rear suspension before. This bit, by the way, is the seat belt, which I still haven't put in properly. I'm going to need to do that. I'm currently running with no seat belts, by the way, so it's not going to do any damage. So now I've got, as long as the top nut comes out, this will be out in 5 minutes. Get the spring off, get that off, whiz it up, put the collar on, and off we go. And change the damper, obviously. No, that's not what you do. You undo. Fucking hell, how does this work? Why does this cause me so much pain? You get your spring compressors, the top retainer comes down, then you undo those, take it out, and you do the bolt off the car. I think. Bear with me. I have no idea if I'm doing this right or wrong, but I've got the top bolt loosened. I've got access to these, so I'm just going to undo them, get the strut out. And as you can see, she's out, so that didn't take too long. And yes, you do need to compress the springs because I get the impression that this is just held on there because the D's twisted. Yeah, so if you didn't have these on, this would just want to shoot off. So anyway, it's removed, so we can now move it into the workshop area. Still being very careful because it is a coiled spring and we know how much of a fuck up they can cause. So let me get my hammer, knock this off, and then we'll start the bad boy process. So hopefully I don't die in a nasty spring related accident. I'm just going to hit this and hope for the best. know if you can see that, but not particularly good. Off comes the spring. Now we can undo the spring compressors. So I'd rather not be this close to the spring. See if we can take up some of the slack. Fucking hell. Right, he's off. Survived. Alright, so now I've got to remove the damper, which shouldn't be too difficult, just a really large nut. Take the damper out, and the damper is going to be soldered along the fronts. Then we cut this spring platform off, and then we clean this up, and then weld on my threaded section. I didn't have my 32mm spanners, so a bit of mole grips came to my aid. But yeah, now for the angry grindery bits, which should be more fun. Huzzah! Oh bloody hell, that stopped recording, but got it off. Yeah, literally just whacked it with a screwdriver and my big hammer, and it peeled off. So now what I can do is unplug the grinder. I always unplug before changing the head. It's the one thing to health and safety I do take seriously. Thought of a grinder going off in my hand just scares the shit out of me. I've made another fuck up. I whacked the top of the fucking tube. Just had it resting on the floor while I was hitting it. Didn't even pay attention. Hopefully that can be fixed. But again, it just shows, if you haven't done it before, don't do what I did and just rush in with a fucking big grinder. Take your time and pay attention. Right, I took the brake disc off in the end, which I should have done before, but I was being lazy. So I've been told about a 1/4 inch, and then just tack weld it all the way around. Can't be that hard, can it? Alright, I'll crack on. Right, so I've buzzed that up with the grinder. Plugged it in. The earth clamp on it. So now I just need me mask. Right, for better or for worse, I'm just going to dive straight in on this. Leave the settings where they were last time. Just give it a twat and see where we go. Now, pretty they're not, but I think I've got good penetration, so that can come off now, can't it? Okay, so what have we got? We've got some pretty rank areas, but also got some much nicer areas there. See that little bit in the middle? That's not bad. But, you know, you see there's another nicer bit there. A little nicer bit there. I mean, a lot of this will clean off with the grinder, but, you know, I'm not a welder. Literally, the last time I welded was that little bit of the chassis. I've had no training. So, yeah, it is awful, but I reckon that's strong enough. Seems like there's good heat lines, hopefully. I mean, if it's not, someone shout, but I reckon that's good to have a dust down with the grinder and then slap a bit of paint on, bung the bugger on the car. Well, pretty it ain't. But there's some holes, but you know, they'll seal up with a bit of gunk. But I reckon that's held on. If there's something glaring, yeah, please someone shout, but camera probably makes it look worse. But yeah, it's not pretty, but I think that's all right. So I'm gonna put some paint on and get the damper tube in and off we go. Cooking on gas. All right, so got it on, silicone at the top, liquor paint at the bottom, just test fitting the Lotus cone and the top mount. So now all I've really got to do is fit the spring, well, take the tape off and fit the spring and then bolt it back up. So we should get this back on this evening with any joy. So join me in a second, see where I've got to. Go on then. 10 points to the first person who spots it. Bollocks. Well, there we go. It's all in and it's a little bit dark now. But, you know, just taking this in its component parts, you know, it's got a diff, backbone chassis, independent rear suspension with really long suspension arms. You know, this could almost be, you know, a modern design wouldn't probably change that much. Obviously, you'd have better kit, but they did pretty much get it right. Maybe it could have had double wishbone. I suppose that was a budget thing, but yeah, I think I'll wrap it up there. I'm knackered. I've broken my shoulder. I'll have to attack the other side later this week. I can't do it tonight.